So have we like officially reached the point where New York is celebrating take your child to a felony day? I mean, y'all, prosecutors say that a formerly deputy police commissioner, the woman whose portfolio included wellness, reform, and community relations, this woman has allegedly helped her 20-year-old son carry out a gang shooting in the Bronx. Yes, you heard every word of that correctly, because you guys, y'all didn't know the wellness commissioner is accused of helping with the getaway. Ma'am, your son needed an intervention, not transportation. Y'all, this story gets progressively more ridiculous the deeper that we go. But listen, okay, it's been a couple of days since I've done a video. Yes, the snake skin is still peeling. I still got, a little bit around here and everywhere, but I couldn't stay away. I couldn't stay away because this story hits home, like literally hits home for me. So as many of you guys know, I am originally from the Bronx, okay? Like I'm a Southerner now, but I am a New York City transplant. And today's story is so wild and so crazy and so embarrassing. But at the same time, it needs to be discussed from a social and cultural perspective, because it hits to the heart of what is fundamentally wrong with our legal system and in our cultural perspective as we view DEI and the problems with DEI. I got to take it deep, despite the fact that my face is still peeling, but it's all good. We're going to get into it today. Let's get into this. Greetings and peace, you guys. Welcome back to Unshakable with April Chapman. Listen, first of all, Jennifer Lackard was a deputy commissioner up there in the Bronx. Actually, okay, so I'm not going to explain Bronx versus Mount Vernon, but just for the purposes of this conversation, we'll say Mount Vernon. And this woman was installed in this position without having any prior law enforcement experience, because of all of the white guilt and the black whining, crying, begging, and complaining that happened during the Summer of Love after the George Floyd riots. Many local municipalities felt like they needed to do something, right? They needed to check their box and do their part in order to appear sympathetic to the cause of the blacks and other minorities, such as the lesbians and the gays and the trans people and all the other intersectionality groups that believe that they need to be the center of attention always and all the time. So they give her this position. She doesn't have any prior law enforcement experience. But what happened the other day was something that not just involved her, but it involved her thug thizzle Taquation's son. And that's what we have to talk about today. I'm going to show you a clip of how this minivan Flintstones reminiscent getaway story of or should I say a redefinition of what a crime family is. This story is probably that. So let's take a look at this clip.
A deputy police commissioner in Mount Vernon charged in a jaw-dropping attempted murder case that investigators say she coordinated with her son and husband. That is our top story right now at 6 o'clock. I'm Natalie Pascarella.
And I'm David Usry. Detectives say it started with a shooting that happened steps away from the Bronx Criminal Court building.
Jennifer Lackard and her son Chase were arrested at their home in the Bronx just this morning. Police here in the city allege she was driving the getaway van after her son shot at people. News 4's Chris Glorioso live at the Bronx courthouse to sort out these charges for us, Chris.
That's right, Natalie. For about a month now, the NYPD has been trying to figure out who opened fire on a group of people right here outside the Bronx County Hall of Justice. Tonight, the Bronx DA says this was a family affair, with one of the people arrested, a deputy commissioner in the Mount Vernon Police Department, now charged with attempted murder.
Surveillance captured a shooting that occurred.
In Bronx Criminal Court Tuesday, prosecutors detailing the jaw-dropping case against 49-year-old Jennifer Lackard, who until now had been a high-ranking Mount Vernon police commissioner. Back on June 29th, investigators say Lackard, her 20-year-old son Chase, and her husband James took part in a coordinated attempt to open fire on a group of people outside the Bronx Criminal Court complex, and then speed off in the family van. In court, Assistant DA Keturah Ladd said the son, Chase, was the triggerman, and prosecutors say they have text messages between him and his mother planning the getaway. He texted to her, "Be right out front when I leave." She responded, "When? You can't just stand out front. The timing has to be right."
It was ridiculous. How you gonna shoot right
Next to the courthouse.
The criminal court?
Neighbor Carmen Santa remembers walking her dogs near the crime scene the day of the shooting. No one was injured in the gunfire, but prosecutors say Chase Lackard is a known gang member, and one of the people in the targeted group was part of a rival gang. They also say he appeared in Bronx court on a prior gun charge the very same day he opened fire on the group outside.
Okay, wait a minute. So let me get this straight. You already had a court appearance in criminal court for an unrelated incident. And common sense didn't tell you that maybe today was not the right day for you and your mama to participate in another crime that would involve a gun outside of the Bronx courthouse. Like, I'm sorry, y'all. These new school criminals are not that smart, and I'm embarrassed because, okay, she's 49. Okay, so she's a Gen Xer. Like, she's just a few years older than me. Gen Xers are smarter than this. Like, we built different. We assess threats and scenarios and situations way different than Gen Zs and Gen Alphas. Okay, like we are 5 steps ahead. And it seems as if she kind of was by saying, well, you know, you can't just stand right out there. The timing has to be right. But the broader question is, ma'am, why are you aiding and abetting your gang-banging son when you are a deputy commissioner for a local municipality? Like, you didn't think, you know, if I do this, my job might be in jeopardy. If I do this, I might be encouraging my son to further participate in a life of crime. No, none of those questions. None of those questions seem to have been on the forefront of her mind because she's standing here. I'm assuming this is an arraignment. I can't remember what they called it. Y'all, my mama used to work. My mama used to work in the Bronx DA's office. Like, I'm looking like, oh my goodness, the courthouse looks so nice. It's been so updated and it's so clean. I'm impressed. But anyway, let's just focus on this story. So here's the next clip that I want to show y'all.
Lackard appointed Deputy Commissioner of Wellness for the city in 2020 during the George Floyd protest.
Deputy Commissioner Jennifer Lackard launched the Wellness Precinct located on Gramerton Avenue last month.
A lot of the people who we encounter are in a mental health crisis. Some are combatant, some are, really, really aggressive, and some are not.
A few moments later.
And right now at 6, there is news of a shocking arrest. The Mount Vernon Deputy Police Commissioner is now fired and facing attempted murder charges.
Jennifer Lackard was a second in command at the Mount Vernon Police Department, serving as its deputy police commissioner for more than 6 years. She helped keep crime off the city streets and arrested criminals when she needed to. But this morning, she was greeted at the door by police officers, but they were there to put handcuffs on her and now charged alongside her 20-year-old son with attempted murder.
Okay, so here's the part about this story that is super crazy. First of all, I'm old school. I don't know what a wellness precinct is. I mean, a precinct, like a police precinct, is typically where they corral and process criminals who have been suspected of a crime. But when I hear the word or the term wellness precinct, it gives the connotation that, okay, these people may be involved in criminality, they may be involved in something illegal, whether their mental health or their mental state is taken into consideration or not is possibly or not the case. But a wellness precinct, it's reeking to me of all of this reimagining law enforcement or reimagining the police. That is part of the problem as to why we are seeing such an uptick in crime and criminality in our communities across the country. What the heck is a wellness precinct? Like, you have, if people have a mental health problem that leads them to commit crimes, what we don't need to do is formulate a hybrid approach to say, well, let's be concerned about their wellness, separate and distinct from the fact that they are a criminal. Okay, now one may have something to do with the other, but not always. A wellness precinct, to me, is nothing more than leftist jargon for we don't want to hold people accountable. And we believe that we have a way that is better and that is an improved process of how to deal with crime and to make our community safer. But notice how this deputy commissioner of the wellness precinct finds herself on the other side of the law because maybe, just maybe, she was using her wellness skills that she learned as the deputy commissioner, and she was practicing it on her 20-year-old criminal son, Mr. Lackard. Now, I'm trying to understand who is the parent and who is the child, because both of them seem to be engaged in criminal activity. She's aiding and abetting, but he seems to kind of be running the show and telling her what to do. This is why DEI is a bad idea. DEI has no place when it comes to law enforcement. There has to be objective standards of qualifications and objective standards of experience that is used when it comes to criminal justice or law enforcement. The moment large municipalities and cities like New York City endeavor to have some sort of wellness approach to fighting crime, guess what's not going to happen? No one's going to be fighting the crime. You're going to be spending more time sympathizing and empathizing with the criminals than actually keeping residents and citizens safe. And then to make matters worse, this is a family affair, right? We've got the mama and the daddy. The daddy, he out. Like, dad is out. He's on the run. They're trying to find him so they can extradite him back to New York City. I don't know. Maybe he'll find shelter or safety in a wellness precinct in another city. But this mama aiding and abetting her 20-year-old son in a shooting, driving or being coordinating the getaway car. And did we not forget that in the news story prior to this one, they advised that the son had just made a court appearance earlier that day. And also the son happens to be a known criminal and a known gang affiliate. So this tells me mama's probably in the set too. I don't know. This is pure speculation. What other excuse or justification can a parent give to aid and abet their son in this level and this kind of criminality unless they are too a part of the criminal organization? For all we know, this may go deeper than what it appears on the surface. For all we know, this woman may have been providing weapons or running guns or running drugs or providing pass interference for drugs. Like, her role and position as the deputy commissioner of a relatively large municipality up there in the Bronx, or the northern part of the Bronx, Mount Vernon, Why are you running? Like, why are you driving the getaway car? Why is your son a known gang member and a criminal? Like, how did you get this job as a deputy commissioner without having, like, if I understand her background is her background and her son's background is her son's background, but at some point, did we not take this into consideration when we were thinking about hiring this woman? Or did we just hire her because she checks two of the intersectionality boxes that matter to the woke-sticians, which is she's Black and she's a female? Right? So this woman received this position in the wake of the George Floyd riots, when reimagining police and defunding the police and taking resources from actual cops on the streets who are fighting crime and giving it to these, psychological social service type police measures. Like, this doesn't work. And we know that a wellness precinct and wellness policing doesn't work because it's not even working in this woman's personal life and in her lived experience, beginning with her own home. Right? Okay. Were you gonna rub little Taquayshawn, little pistol starter's back? Were you gonna rub his back into doing the right thing and not committing a crime? Is that how this wellness position of yours is supposed to work? What about the wellness and the well-being of the people in the community? Because he seems to be a terror on 2 feet with guns and gang activity. So explain to me exactly, precisely, how does this wellness approach to law enforcement work? I will tell you, it doesn't. Okay, Romans 13 makes it very clear that government, and in this instance, the police department, is a representative of the government. They don't bear the sword in vain. Their whole purpose of bearing the sword is to enact, to restrain the lawless. So there is a lesson to be learned in Romans 13 and why this soft approach, this wellness approach to fighting crime just doesn't work. Romans 13 tells us, let every person be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and those that exist have been instituted by God. Therefore, whoever resists the authorities resists what God has appointed, and those who resist will incur judgment. Listen to this. For rulers are not a terror to good conduct, but to bad. Like little Taquayshawn pistol starter here, this would be bad conduct. And it goes on to say, would you have no fear of the one who is in authority? Then do what is good, and you will receive his approval. For he is God's servant for your good. But if you do wrong, be afraid. For he does not bear the sword in vain. For he is the servant of God, an avenger who carries out God's wrath on the wrongdoer. This is why a wellness approach to policing is not going to work, because the whole purpose of law enforcement is to be an avenger of God's wrath on the wrongdoer. When you have soft on crime policies, when you attempt to rub the back and provide a wellness approach to law enforcement, it doesn't reap the fruitful piece of righteousness. In fact, it makes the criminals worse, because the criminals are not held accountable. They realize that there's no consequences to their actions or their conduct. And so they continue to double down in their wickedness because there's nothing restraining them. This is a fundamental approach. This is why I say Marxism is an anti-God, anti-Christian worldview, because it completely removes the truth about what we know about the human condition, which is we are fallen and sinful and depraved of mind. And if left to ourselves, there is no bottom to the depths of the depravity that we will commit. And so you can't have a wellness approach to law enforcement, because the depravity of man and the sinfulness in the human heart will not allow for such an approach. It's no different than the saying, if you give them an inch, they will take a mile. So I'm curious to know, what do you guys think? This story was crazy. It happened in my hometown. Like, so much of where I'm from and where I grew up was in this story. The Bronx courthouse, the fact that the son's old stomping ground was in the Lafayette Park and Soundview areas of the Bronx, like in Stevenson Commons, like that's my old stomping ground. Like, that's where I grew up. So, you know, the point I wanted to make in this video is that we are now, so 2020 was effectively 6 years ago. We are now seeing the fruit, the results of what some of these bad policing policies, this reimagine policing policies, this soft on crime policies, we're now seeing the fruit of what that looks like in real time. You get incompetent, unqualified people who should be nowhere near law enforcement gaining positions of authority, who are corrupt. They have no ties to the police community. And therefore, because they don't have the proper view and the proper philosophy of policing, it spills over not just into the community, but it's an outflow from their lived experience in their personal life. This woman is participating in this kind of behavior because she believes that, think about it, this woman knows that in a wellness policing environment, that her little buddy, her little son, they can slap him on the wrist and he's going to go right back out and reoffend again. He's going to reoffend again. He is the embodiment of why wellness policing does not work, why that whole division and that whole department should be shut down. And we need to go back to fighting crimes and dealing with criminals the way Rudy Giuliani did, which is lock them up and throw away the key. Okay, look, I don't care if y'all didn't like it, but it doesn't make it any less true. But I'm curious to know, what do you guys think? Do you believe that this wild and crazy story involving a whole family is reflective of the wellness policing culture that the left has tried to cultivate, or this is just a one-off and she just got caught out there aiding and abetting her son in committing multiple crimes, allegedly? So whatever it is you guys think, leave me your thoughts down in the box below. And until next time, you guys, stand firm, stay bold, and above all else, stay unshakable. Grace and peace.